Welcome back to my channel. I'm glad to meet you again through this channel, and I'm very glad to meet you again through a lesson. This time we are going to look at the lesson a gorilla in the guest room. It is in the 600 English book, Raintree in English, right? So that we are going to learn about this lesson today. But okay, how many of you know the monkey and the chimpanzee and the gorilla? Okay, how many of you do know the difference between these things? Chimpanzee, monkey and gorilla. These are all same kind of a family, but it is not a same kind of family. It is belongs to a separate family. We know that lion, tiger, and cheetahs are the carnivores, but it is all different kind of animals. Because like that, this is the monkey, the chimpanzee, and the gorilla is all the different one, but some seems to be all in the monkey family. Okay, now this is a story about the author who is having a pet animal as that is what called the gorilla, and he wrote about this. He wrote about something, that gorilla. How did he get that gorilla? How did he manage with that gorilla in his home? We are going to learn about this. Okay, this speaker in the text you are about to read has been offered a baby gorilla for his zoo for 1,200 pounds. Okay, 1,200 pounds. Where is pounds are using? Pounds are using in only in England. So that this is the story. This narration belongs to the English people, right? And this shows. This narrator is a zoo runner. He is running a zoo. Alright, he is looking for a baby gorilla. Though the zoo is not doing well financially, he cannot resist the idea of adding a gorilla into the zoo. And the finance is very getting low, but this narrator, the zoo owner, want to keep a gorilla for the zoo. After many calls to raise the money, he is finally ready to collect the animal. Read on to find out what happens next. The great day came and I went over to the London airport to collect the ape. My one fear was that when I arrived there, it would turn out to be a chimpanzee. The dealer met me and escorted me to a room in the animal shelter of a Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. See, this man, the zookeeper, went over the London airport to collect the ape. Right, and the zookeeper and the broker, the dealer means the broker. The man finishes the deal between two persons called a dealer. Met to me, escorted. Escorted means what is meant by escorted is going along with. To a room in the animal shelter of the Royal Society of the Prevention of Cruelty of Animals. Cruelty to animals. He opened the door, and the first thing I saw was a couple of baby chimpanzees sitting on a table and chewing bananas. When the narrator entered into the room, he looks first. He had a sight with the two chimpanzees which is sitting on the table and eating banana. Right. My heart sank. The narrator says my heart sank. Because he is looking for a gorilla, but here he saw two chimpanzees. And I heard visions of having to go back Jersey empty-handed. What is Jersey? Jersey is the name of a place. Jersey is a town. So that the narrators decided that I am going to empty-handed to Jersey back. But the dealer walked over the crate in the corner and opened the door, and Nepongo walked into my life. But the dealer walk a little more and open a crate. What is meant by crate? It's a wooden box. It's a wooden box in the corner. See, we could have seen in the movies, and the apples were packed in a wooden box, or something is sealed with a wooden box with a reapers. You might have seen that. That is what called crate. And Nepongo walked into my life. What is Nepongo? In the narrator named the gorilla Nepongo. Right. He stood about 18 inches high and was quite the most handsome and healthy looking baby gorilla I had ever seen. Now, the narrator described the gorilla. He says the baby gorilla stood about 18 inches, which means 1.5 feet. Height was quite the most handsome and healthy looking baby gorilla. It was the gorilla seems to be very healthy, very beautiful. Why he is using the handsome? Handsome is using for the masculine gender. Masculine means male gender. So it indicates the gorilla is a baby gorilla is a male gorilla. It's a baby boy, right? He walked across the room towards me and then held up his arms to be lifted up. And then the gorilla walked across the room and come to the narrator and lift his hands to lift the gorilla to the narrator like a baby, like a small baby. We are lifting the child, putting the hands under the arms of the baby, and we are lifting the baby, and we are chopping the ribs and subbing the cheeks or something like that, doing like that, and we are knuckle the baby. So that the gorilla does want to do all those things to him, right? His light chocolate colored fur was thick and soft, and the skin on his hand, feet, and face was soft and glossy as leather. Now we know that the chimpanzee is covered. The chimpanzee or the gorilla is covered with the hair full of the body. That is what called fur. It was thick and soft. And the palm of the gorilla was very soft, like a leather, like a silky leather. We know that. His eyes were small and deep set, twinkling chips of coal. He lay back in my arms and studied me carefully with an unwinking stare, and then lifted fat and gentle forefinger and touched my beard. See, now the baby gorilla, look at the face of the narrator and unwinking. What is meant by unwinking? So not blinking the eyes. Then lifted the fat and gentle forefinger. So the gorilla lifted the forefinger and touched the beard of the narrator. So the narrator has the beard. We know that beard, right? I tickled his ribs and wriggled about my arms, giggling horrorously. Now the narrator tickled the ribs of the gorilla, and the gorilla is started to laughing. It's giggling horrorously. His eyes are shining with amusement. I sat him down on a convenient table and handed him a banana. So the narrator lifted the gorilla and sit on a table very convenient manner and presented him a banana. He accepted it and with little growls of pleasure, and yet very diligently compared to the chimpanzees. What is meant by diligently? Diligently means in a careful way, using small steps or small movements. We're eating like a small baby, eating very little by little. That is what called here. And compared to the chimpanzees, who were stuffing their mouths as full they could. We know that the monkeys always keep the food in the side of the mouth, into the side of the mouth. So we could have seen the monkey as a swelling, like a swelling cheeks, like that. But this gorilla eating very very slowly. I wrote the check, and then we bundled Nepongo growling protest back to the crate and went off to catch the plane for Jesse. Now the narrator is give back the Napango, the gorilla, back to the dealer to pack him up in the crate, but it doesn't want to go to the crate because of the wooden box is not liked by the gorilla, so he doesn't want to go back. But the narrator give a check to the dealer and went back to the airport to catch the plane to the Jersey. What is Jersey? I told you already. The Jersey is a place of name of a place. It is in London. It is in England. At Jersey, now the plane has took off, and then they landed at Jersey. Now I took Napongo out of his crate, and we drove to the zoo with him sitting on my lap. Now the narrator makes the gorilla sit on his lap and drove the car to his home. He took the great interest in the cows we passed, only occasionally looking up to peer into my face. What is peer? Peer means is looking carefully, looking very keenly. That is what called peer. Look very carefully. Right. And on the roadside, there were some cows. The Napongo looked at them very interestingly, but it looks at the face of the zookeeper, the narrator, occasionally with fear. When we arrived, I carried him to our flat. His cage was not quite ready, and I had decided that he would have to spend a couple of days in our guest room. Now, that narrator take the gorilla with him to his house in the guest room, and because his cage is not yet getting ready.
I said no! That's all there is. There isn't any more.
So the narrator decided to make to stay the gorilla in his house couple of days. What is mean by couple of days? 2 days. Couple of days means 2 days. Right. His grave, courteous manner, and his rather sad expression immediately won over both Jack and my mother. And before long, he was lying back on the sofa while they stuffed with food. See, this gorilla is looking very sadly. What is grave and courteous? What is meant by that meaning? Courteous means polite and showing respect. What is grave? Very silent. Very silent. What is mean? Grave means the place which where we bury the dead people. That is what there only silence will remain. So like that, this gorilla is in his grave. What is his grave? In silence. Here it gives the meaning in silence. Courteous manner. Courteous means what is meant by courteous? Polite and showing respect to others. His rather sad expression immediately won over both Jack and my mother. And before long, he was lying back on the sofa while they stuffed with him food. Before the gorilla laid on the sofa, both of them, the Jack and his mother of the narrator, fed up with the food. The staff too came upstairs one by one, play homage to him as if he were a king. Now the zookeeper, the zoo workers, the zoo staffs come to the upstairs, come to the living in the gorilla guest room, and one by one and pay homage. What is meant by pay homage? Show deep respect and admiration for someone. So some deep respect. That is what called pay homage. Him as if he were a king. Having previously kept Chumley the chimpanzee in the house, I knew from bitter experience that an ape could quickly turn a civilized room into something closely resembling a bomb site. Now, the narrator remember the experience with the Chumley, which is called by the name. It is a chimpanzee. It is chimpanzee. He had a bitter experience. What is meant by bitter experience? It's a very bad experience. That an ape could quickly turn a civilized room into something closely resembling a bomb site. Now it sees the narrator is comparing the situation with the chimpanzee to a bomb blasted area. You know that bomb blasted area, or in the war place or something like that. Everything is shattered. Everything is upside down. The things are going up and down. That is what called shattered. That seems to be the bomb site. The chimpanzee turned the civilized place into a bomb site. Civilized place into a bomb site. What is the meaning of that? The chimpanzee turned the house into the what is that? It's a dusty one. It makes everything collapse. That is what called here. I watch Napango like a hawk. Like a hawk. When he become bored with lying on the sofa. What is meant by hawk? Hawk means very quiet. Very quiet. I'll give the meaning after some time. I'll end of this video for the word quack. When he became bored with lying on the sofa, he decided to circle the room to look at everything or anything of interest. Now, he described the activities of the gorilla. When the gorilla gets bored, it is the gorilla decided to circle the room. Look at anything of interest. He walked slowly around like a tiny professor in a museum, pausing now to look at the picture, now to stroke an ornament, but doing it so gently that there was never any danger that he would break anything. This gorilla is walking in a circle, walking in round manner like a tiny professor in a museum. In a museum, the tiny professor means everything in a museum, something might be is bigger. The professor seems to be very tiny. That is what and then it is looking at the picture, it is looking at the ornaments and but it touches everything very gently because he would break anything because he did not break anything. After the attitude I was used to with Chamli, I was thrilled with Napongo's beautiful behavior. The author had a bitter experience with the chimpanzee before before this app came to his home. He now look at the gorilla and he was thrilled with his beautiful behavior. You would have thought that he had been brought up in a house. What is the meaning of this line? If we see the activities of the Napongo, we might believe that the gorilla must have learned something from the human, must have grown in a family. He behaved very well, so well that by the time we put him to bed, my mother asked me if we could keep him in the house permanently. But remembering Chamli's behavior, I turned a deaf ear to her. Please, what is meant by please? Is appeals, is a request. His mother very admired with the activities of the chimpanzee, so that she is asking the narrator, are we going to keep this gorilla with us permanently? But the narrator had a big bitter experience with the chimpanzee, so he decided to send the gorilla to the zoo. So he turned his ears, turned to a deaf ear, which means what is the meaning of that? Do not show any respect to the applications or appeals or requests, something like that. Napongo, of course, did not leave the guest room in the condition that he found, but this was only to be expected. Although his manners were excellent, he was only a baby. So the guest room, when he left it, bore many traces of his presence. On the wall, for instance, was something that resembled a map of Japan. See here, the narrator experienced a little more from the gorilla. What he says, Napongo, of course, he did not leave the guest room in the condition that he found it, but it was only to be expected. Although his manners were excellent, he was only a baby. When the Napongo leaves the guest room, it gives the traces of him. It bore many traces of his presence. On the wall, for instance, there was something that resembled a map of Japan. This was nicely drawn in scarlet and was due to the fact that I had thought Napongo might like some tinned raspberries. See, there was a map like Japan in the wall, hanging on the wall. The places are marked by the deep red thing. The author thought Napango might like some tinned raspberries. He had liked them, and his enthusiasm at this new food has resulted in the map of Japan. So this gorilla wanted to pick all the raspberries. What is raspberries? Raspberries. It is a small, soft, red food. It's very tasty. Only it is used to get in England only. So this gorilla thought that is a fruit. So it tried to pick it up everything from the map. So the map is disastered. Map getting tear up. That is what happened. There was also the incident with the door Napango. After eating his meal, he tried to follow me out of the room. He knew that the handle by some magical means opened and closed the door, but he did not know exactly how to use it. In the Napango, whenever it went to the room, went out the room and entered into the room, it opened the door by the doorknob. Somehow it managed to open the door and close, but it does not know exactly how to use the handle of the knob or open the handle. He pulled it one time. So he pulled it downwards with all his strength. As I tried unsuccessfully to bend the handle back into the position one time, the gorilla don't know how to exactly use the knob. Is pulling pressing the knob down, so it bent it down. But the narrators want to make it again into the original position. But he tried a very lot, but he could not. But as I tried unsuccessfully to bend the handle back to the position, I reflected that Napango was only about 2 years old. What happened? His strength would certainly increase along with the size. Now he understood this gorilla made this and understood the strength of the gorilla. Only he is 2 years old. When he grows up, it gets very, very stronger. That is what the narrator understood. Because he was friendly, he had good manners and a good sense of humor. Napango quickly became the darling of the zoo. Now the narrator sent it to the zoo because he would not no more handle the ground gorilla in his room. On warm afternoons, he was brought out to the lawn in front of the hedge, and there would show of his admirers either lying on the grass with a bored expression on his face or with wicked look in his eye, working out how he could pose for his photograph to be taken with some earnest visitor. In the zoo, by the good manner, by the good sense of humor, it became the darling of the zoo. So that on the warm afternoons, he was brought out. He was brought out to the hedge, and there were people, someone who wants to take the pictures with the gorilla, and the gorilla expresses sad feelings on his face, and a very huge, very humorous face on his face, humorous feelings on his face, and took the photographer. For the photograph, he posed himself with the visitors to the photographer. He would then rush forward at most important moment and grab the unfortunate photographer's leg. When the photo has been taken, the gorilla ran to the photographer and pulled down the photographer down. This gave him great amusement. Great amusement. However, it generally resulted in an excellent picture, a completely empty section of lawn. What is this meaning? This gave him great amusement. The falling of a man makes the gorilla into a very huge amusement. What is amusement? Very happy moment. However, it generally resulted in an excellent picture, a completely empty section of lawn. So, generally, the gorilla gave pose to the photographer. So it is completely empty section of lawn. What is completely resultant in an excellent picture of a completely empty section of lawn. What is my lawn? The lawn is veranda. When it happens and that photo has been taken out, so it is an excellent one. That is what this narrator says about the experience of his experience with the gorilla. The author's name is Gerald Durrell, was a British naturalist, zookeeper and writer. He has written a number of books based on his experience with different animals. Some of his most famous books are The Overloaded Ark. What is meant by ark is a ship in 1953, My Family and Other Animals in 1956, and A Zoo in My Luggage in 1960. This is a text about baby gorilla called Napongo, who is taken to a zoo in Jersey. The speaker who runs the zoo keeps Napongo in his house at first. The text is a funny and touching narration of the baby gorilla's time with the zoo staff and how they come to love and admire him. That is what this lesson shows. Children, learn this lesson. It is a very interesting one to you all. And then whenever you try to, whenever you watch this video, you have to keep your book with yourself. Otherwise, it is little difficult to understand what it is in the book. So try to keep the book with yourself always whenever you learn. Thank you.